Well, welcome to the Royal Exchange Matchday Live for the final game of the season. It's our swan song against Swansea City. Dan Wimbush joins me from his home. How are you, Dan?
Rich, glad to be with you once again. Last day of the season. Let's go out with a bang. Let's get those 3 points.
Yeah, just a minute or so before we're going to be revealing the team news. Sorry you can't see me very well because the bright light coming from Medeski Stadium behind us. A minute to the team news, Dan. You're, as always, this time of the week, you have to kind of make your predictions or what you'd like to see. And for the last game of the season, I guess it's up for grabs for everyone to an extent.
You've got that mysterious Bond villain-esque hue going on.
Yeah.
Not sure the power glow. Look, it's been not the best week. 2 defeats, some bright moments in those 2 defeats, but as I said, we just want to see people go out with a bang. We want to see those people. I think you can tell as a fan those people that are still really playing for the shirt and who are really still invested in the club. And I want to see 11 plus 5 people out there tonight that are giving it their all for Reading Football Club and who, even if they know they're not going to be here next season, are just going to leave everything out on the pitch because why not?
Absolutely, yeah. And potentially the last game for one or two of the players, as we know, because players' contracts coming to the end and so on and so forth. But we'll talk about all that plus the Blackburn game and all the build up to tonight's game in a few moments. But it's exactly an hour until kick-off. Let's have a look at tonight's team news. This is how we line up against Swansea City. In goal, Raphael, as you'd expect. Chris Gunter, Michael Morrison. Matt Miazga comes back into the squad, and you'd expect Omar Richards to be part of a back 4. Liam Moore may or may not play as a back 5. He might sit at the base of midfield as he has done in some other games as well. We know that John Swift and Andy Rinomhota will be in that midfield. And then we've got a front 3, if you like, of Yaku Mete, Michael Elise and George Pushkas. Well, although, for all of that, Dan, I guess there's a little bit of speculation in what I say there because it was a little bit more like a 4-4-2 last time, wasn't it? With the way that Elise in midfield rather than up front. And I guess it's remains to be seen what the lineup actually looks like.
Yeah, it'll be intriguing to see whether Moore does push out into midfield. We know he's done it a couple of times in recent weeks. No Pele, obviously due to injury. So, Mark Bowen, he's got this tricky assignment because, as I mentioned, he doesn't really know who's going to be at the club next season. But at the same point, the integrity of the league, Swansea have got everything to play for tonight. They'll be absolutely desperate to get a win, and Reading won't want to roll over. I'm sure Mark Bowen's got friends, other football clubs who could be affected by results tonight. So he'll want to go out in style. What exactly we do with the team lineup, I'm not sure. We're just in this unfortunate situation where we're at the end of the season. We've not quite got the personnel required to play certain systems. So people are going in and doing jobs, but at least it tells you, if Moore does go into the midfield, it gives Mark a little bit more of a chance to say, well, can he be a backup option next season? Or, I've seen him there now for sort of 2, 3, 4 games. We definitely need to buy 1 or 2 players or bring someone through from the academy. So lots of different switches. Matt Miazga again could be his last game as well. Nice to see him get another chance to impress before his loan spell ends, and who knows what his future holds. So, lots of intriguing little mini stories. You want to keep seeing Michael Elise push forward and impress. Can Pushkas and Mete get some more goals and just give them that little bit extra, feeling of good. We talked before about momentum. If Pushkas gets another goal tonight, give him that little bit of a bounce going into summer that you can hopefully then bring into the next pre-season. So pretty much the strongest team, I think, based on what we've got available to us. And hopefully, as I've said before, it will go out in style with 3 points.
You mentioned the mini stories as well. One of them we're going to be in less than half an hour. A little mini stories that we're going to be announcing the player of the season. You gave your predictions last week, but also before that we're also going to look at the recap of the Blackburn game and also the mini stories. There's some massive stories, if you like, all around the division with so much riding on games tonight, including the one here. Unfortunately, not for us, but Swansea got something to play for. But first we'll reflect on that game against Blackburn. What did you catch of that one, Dan? It was a bit of a thriller, but the wrong side of it as far as we were concerned.
Yeah, again, with family life and stuff, I just seem to be catching 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 10 minutes here. I saw most of this one, and it's just, it was almost a microcosm of Reading season in that there was moments of outstanding brilliance. You look at John Swift's, stunning free kick. You look at the way Sam Baldock set up that third goal. And then there's just bad defending, people getting beaten at the far post, people just switching off from set pieces and just not pushing on when we've got the advantage. It was, bless him, Jem Karaciani was on BBC Radio Berkshire, was saying that there's only one winner from this point when it was 3-3.
Yeah, he called it wrong, unfortunately.
That law that always hits football, the commentator's curse, struck, and Blackburn went on to win it. I mean, fortunately, if you want to say that, there was nothing really riding on it for Reading. So if you're going to go out, at least you go out in entertaining fashion. But again, there's just so much now that Mark Bowen will be keen to get into with his squad when they return from the pre-season. Who returns, again, we're not really sure, but there's no shortage of things to work on, unfortunately. But that's where managers earn their coin. That's why they're paid so much money. And I'm sure he'll be looking forward to putting right those wrongs.
Absolutely. Well, we'll hear from Mark Bowen in a couple of minutes' time. But first, we'll have a little look over those highlights from the Blackburn game at Ewood Park on Saturday.
Just disappointing. Two real things, really, Rich. Is I thought we were slow getting into the game, and really getting to grips with the intensity of the game starting off. Gifted them 2 goals, and then you're thinking, well, you're away from home in this league, you're 2-0 down. As the game, have you cost yourselves a game with a slow start? We get back into it, and then again going into the second half, we changed a few little things, but tactically, and then you get back into the game. And then the third and the fourth goal, especially as well, it's just poor defending from us, not concentrating, switching off, not putting demands on each other to stop crosses coming into the box or get closer to people, So just that's a frustration, what I mean. And as I say, I'm loath to criticise the players, but we've got to push on next year now. For me, can't come quick enough, We've got to make sure that we every game we play in, we raise that sort of level of consistency, and by doing the right things at the right time.
Well, as always, you can catch the game on iFollow. If you're a season ticket holder, you'll be able to watch the game for free, as you have done for the last 8 games. Make sure you redeem that promo code and watch from 7:30. Other supporters can get a match pass for £10, or if you're abroad outside the UK and Ireland, just £5. And if you're experiencing any issues, you can get support from iFollow@EFL.com. And a thank you, of course, to everyone who got involved in our Relocate Inflate sort of initiative, so to speak, at our last away game. Lots of fans sending in their photos of their inflatables from around the grounds, well, around their homes, I should say, I beg your pardon. Big thanks as well to everyone who got involved. Big thanks, of course, to Chris Kamara for indulging our silliness. He got involved. He was given a dolphin and a flamingo and cracked a smile. And a big congratulations to Fiona Brox, who was our winner, and a signed shirt is on her way to you. So Dan, that was Yeah, a frustrating afternoon at Blackburn. It was, you'd have wanted, well, as you mentioned earlier, 3 all going our way. You wouldn't have expected to go home with nothing. I mean, despite the kind of slow start to the game. Yeah,
and apologies for those people who were stuttering through those highlights. Apparently, the technology is deciding that it's the end of the season as well. But we'll do our best to plough on. You didn't miss much. We still lost. Look, like I said, there were some great things. I mean, John Smith's free kick, one of the goals of the season. The way Sam Baldock came on, and Jordan Abita as well, and sort of tried to influence change. Sam Baldock is a player that has had such a roller coaster time since he's come to Reading. He came with a big sort of price tag and expectation for what he'd done at Brighton, and then he was in the side, then he was out the side, and we've had managerial changes. Now, at one point, it looked like he was never going to play for the club again. Then he's come back, and then he's not really featured that much after the break. And his comments to BBC Radio Berkshire, you can tell that he's not had the greatest of seasons off the pitch, but on it was great to see him make an impact. And again, it's these people that are still under contract at the football club. It's good to see them putting their hand up and saying, I'm still going to give everything I can for the football club. And yes, we didn't get the result we needed at the weekend. Disappointing goals to concede. I think just about all 4 of them you could point to something where you would like a defender or a midfielder to have done better with them, but these things happen. Maybe the sort of mental intensity has just dropped since the season was officially over, but it's an unfortunate habit we've got ourselves into of, as I said earlier, not kicking on, not finishing teams off and sort of really asserting that dominance. So it would have really pleased Mark Bowen to come back from 3-1 down and 2-0 to get yourself back in the game, but to ultimately come away empty-handed has got to be even more deflating. It was the same against Middlesbrough as well, especially when you take the lead in that game as well, to then concede 2 and come away with nothing. It's unfortunately happened far too much this season, and ultimately that's the reason why we're going to finish in the bottom half. But like I say, it's still more experience for some players. It's that little confidence boost, another goal for Mate, a goal for Swift. Hopefully that does as well instead for next season, or does it bump someone's price tag up a few £100,000? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen over this summer, but look, I'm very, very certain that Mark Bowen will be quite glad to see the back of these last couple of weeks, because they have been trying ever since Stoke scored, really. Yes, we've had a few little bits of fun along the way. That the win at Luton in particular was fantastic, but other than that, it's just been real frustration. But it's how we channel that frustration now. Hopefully, so that it goes that positive way of, look, we've learned the lessons from last season. We're not going to make those same mistakes next season. This is it. We draw a line under it and move forward.
Absolutely. And just to echo, Dan's apologies for the dropping of frames and so on. I think we're having a few tech issues as we did a couple of weeks ago, which is, it kind of sums up the season, doesn't it, Dan? But there we go. And also, I think there was a few suggestions that, the Inflatables Day was a bit more like Deflation Day, wasn't it, in a way? It was, as I sort of put to Mark Bowen after the game, you'd given ourselves a mountain to climb with that slow start. I mean, I'm going to make a few excuses on behalf of the players, but the pitch was absolutely sodden. They looked like the idea of trying to put a foot in was taking a risk, really, because it probably didn't translate so well on television, but it was absolute downpour before the game. And then, gave themselves a mountain to climb, climbed it, and then slipped back down it again with that 87th minute goal. So that's got to be the most frustrating part. I mean, as you mentioned, the inconsistency that we're seeing throughout the season was kind of, we kind of summed it up in that game, really.
And that's just it. And that's the job of a manager, isn't it? The job of a manager is to try and get his players and the coaching staff and everyone around, the support staff and everyone, is to try and get the best out of those players, week in, week out. Every team is going to have a blip. Every team, especially in the Championship, where, things are so competitive that, we were talking about cliches last week, everyone can beat everyone, and it's absolutely true. Just look at Luton beating, getting a point against Leeds the other day. But the key in this division is to just keep grinding out results and finding a way to get points, even if you're not playing particularly well. And we have seen that at points. The Preston game in Mark Bowen's very first game in charge, maybe we didn't have the best of games, but we found a way to win it in the last minute. And then we've had the sort of dominant performances against Luton a couple of times and Barnsley as well. And then you have the complete aberrations, when we've been outclassed by teams like Brentford a couple of weeks ago. So the key for Mark Bowen is going to be finding a way and finding a squad and a group of players that will get sort of an average of 4 points every 2 games, that will be able to string, 2-3 wins in a row together and not have these, peaks and troughs. If you look at our form over the season, it has literally just been a roller coaster of, 3-4 wins in a row, then, no wins in 3 or 4, then a couple of wins and then down. So there hasn't been consistency. I'm not making excuses, but you do look at the injury list and suspensions and people available and people not available, and it's not been ideal. But again, it's up to the powers that be to construct a squad that can ride out those issues. Lucas João said throughout since he picked up his fresh injury, it's been a massive blow because it completely impacts the way we play the game, and he's been that real focal point. And you look at our best run of the season, it was when he was, fit and firing. So hopefully he'll come back next season. We'll be able to build, 10 blokes around him that can help get the best out of him, and he'll get the best out of them.
Well, let's take a look at the league table and how it stands as we go into the final game, and then after that we'll have a little look at the what's riding on the end of the season. Leeds sit pretty at the top of the league. They're promoted as champions. West Brom are pole position to take second place if they can just make sure that Brentford and Fulham don't overtake them in the last minute. Both of those teams waiting in the wings. Nottingham Forest and Cardiff both on 70 points, with Swansea, well, they're waiting to pounce. They need 3 points to have a chance of overtaking either of those teams and sneaking into the playoffs. Then we're amongst that glut of teams, if you like, that are kind of in the mid-table, just a few points kind of separating all the teams, right down until 18th, where technically Huddersfield are still in danger of relegation, although it would take something like a 14-goal swing for them to kind of be dragged into the mud. Middlesbrough and Birmingham aren't safe yet on 50 points. Charlton are just above the drop zone on 48. Luton on goal difference sit below them, below that dotted line. Barnsley and Hull both need to win tonight to give themselves any chance, sitting in the last 2 positions. And if we look at the actual fixtures as well, Dan, we've got Birmingham City against Derby County. Birmingham could be relegated if they were to lose tonight, if Charlton and Luton were both to win. Brentford against Barnsley. Brentford need to better West Brom's result for an automatic place. Barnsley have to win to give themselves any chance. Bristol City against Preston is the one game where there's nothing riding on it, the one and only out of those 12. Cardiff can secure a playoff place with a draw. Hull need a win and need one desperately, and a huge goal swing actually to have any chance of survival. Charlton have got to match Luton's result and get at least a draw if Barnsley win. Luton will survive if they can better Charlton's result, but they do need a win if Barnsley win. Got halfway there, Dan, give me a second.
I was going to say, calm down.
Yeah, it's really, there's so much riding on this final day. So Millwall against Huddersfield, as we said earlier, Huddersfield could go, well, they're very, very unlikely to be pulled into the mud. But, it takes a real specific set of circumstances that they would be relegated. Forest, if they were defeated and Swansea were to win, could leave them dropping out of the playoff positions. It's a 5-goal swing that's needed for that to happen. As we know, Swansea need to win tonight. They're desperate for that, and they could overtake either Cardiff or Forest or both. Sheffield Wednesday could end up relegating Middlesbrough if Borough were to lose. West Brom can secure promotion with a win, regardless of how Brentford or Fulham get on. And Wigan host Fulham. Fulham are desperate for that win to see if they can go up automatically and avoid the playoff route. And we haven't really talked, Dan, about Wigan's situation and all of that, because we're looking at the table live. But actually, one of the strangest things about this season is that we don't actually know what the table's going to look like even at the end of the final day, because of that situation.
Yeah, with questions hanging over Sheffield Wednesday and Derby as well, which could throw further spanners into the mix. That the important thing for all those teams at the bottom is they get their business done and they finish with as many points as possible. Even if it's looking bleak, the more points they pick up, you don't fully know what points deductions are going to hit, especially Sheffield Wednesday. All sorts of numbers being mooted, and who knows how the EFL will find it. And same with Wigan as well. We're going to go through an appeal process as well against that 12-point deduction that's set to be applied at the final whistle today. So that the important thing for all those teams, as I said at the bottom, will be they'll just be desperate to win, because the more they can do, the more points they finish on, the greater chance they've got of escaping it. So, like you mentioned, I think there's only one game where there's nothing really riding on it. I mean, Reading, we're right in the midst of it with this game against Swansea today. Swansea, as mentioned, need to win, and then, ever sweeter for them, they will overtake Cardiff in that final playoff spot. They're very unlikely to catch Nottingham Forest unless Nottingham Forest have some sort of a real meltdown and Swansea stick a load past us, which very much hope doesn't happen. So you've got to think it's that shootout between Cardiff and Swansea tonight. And Cardiff playing Hull, who've been on that utterly appalling, miserable run. You've got to think they get a point in that game. So I can't really see the top 6 changing. I do think it will be those 4 teams in the playoffs that are there today. I mean, West Brom have got QPR as well, a team with nothing to play for. Of course, we remember when QPR went to another team that needed a win to secure ultimate glory, and they very nearly pulled off that upset against Manchester City. Was it 6-7 years or maybe even 8 years ago now? So will they try and play spoiler tonight? I'm not sure. I do think West Brom will get the job done. And it will be seeing Brentford, Fulham, Forest and Cardiff in that playoff mix. And then as for the bottom 3, again, Hull, I can't see them getting out of it. I can't see Cardiff slipping up. Barnsley, they got that late winner against Nottingham Forest to keep their hopes alive. But again, I don't really want to say too much about who's going to go down because I don't know what's going to happen with these points deductions. But it's great that there's so much riding on it, and it's why we love the Championship. We said it last week, isn't it? This is going to be the highest points total of a team finishing bottom. So it shows you whether that's you want to paint that as the league having lots of quality or perhaps not as much quality. However you paint it as a football fan, it's great because you're seeing the table change right up to the very last day of the season. So, I mean, look, we talked in other weeks about getting revenge missions over Huddersfield. I will shed no tears if we keep Swansea out of the playoffs. For what happened on that day in 2011. So let's hope we can play a little bit of spoilers and get a teeny tiny measure of revenge.
Not that you're bitter, but you're absolutely right. The intrigue.
I'm 100% bitter. As I said, Bolton, Walsall, Swansea are all on my hit list of teams I'm always happy to see us get one over. Huddersfield as well, even though to a lesser extent. Even the teams that have beaten us in the semi-finals over the years, like Wolves, I hold on to that bitterness and proudly as a Reading fan as well. So, my tribalism fully on display here.
Absolutely. And as you say, plenty of intrigue over the course of an hour and a half. It's going to be, you expect some twists and turns. There'll be that live table is going to change quite a lot. And the fact that Swansea have got so much riding on it, I think I hope you agree, Dan, that Mark Bowen will actually be really pleased that we've got a game that's so important to a different club tonight, because it's going to really show him what can be got out of our players, because if it was a dead rubber, I mean that single game, is it Preston away at Bristol City? That's the one game where you give them an easy time if they're on the beach. But tonight, it's probably the most motivated a team could possibly be, knowing that they absolutely have to win.
Exactly. I talked about this a few weeks ago when we were running down these final few fixtures. This is a last audition for some players. This will be their last chance to impress the manager, because I'm sure he'll be sitting down with the owners over the summer and saying, okay, I need to improve X, Y, and Z. This is my every manager will have a wish list. It'll go and talk to the powers that be about. And this is a big chance, for people like Sam Baldock, for some of the younger players to sort of say to Mark Bowen, don't go out and buy somebody. You've got somebody right here, or don't try and move me on. I've got something that I can offer you. And like you say, the fact that we're playing a team that has everything to play for tonight will mean that you're getting a proper examination. It's not like, pre-season friendly where I remember Jay Tabb going off and scoring a hat-trick in a mid-season friendly against a team in Ireland. And, friendlies can cover up a lot of things, and so can games where there's nothing on the line. That won't be the case tonight. If you play well tonight, you're going to have to earn it, because Swansea aren't going to roll over. I mean, if there's a scenario where maybe they hear that Cardiff are 4-0 up against Hull and Forest are getting result as well, and maybe do they drop off the intensity? Perhaps. But certainly, at least in the first half, you're going to get that full throttle, proper Championship game.
Well, I know that the players and the manager are all talking a good game, and let's hear what Mark Bowen had to say after the game at Blackburn about Swansea, and also Andy Rinomhota on Monday when we spoke to him at Bearwood.
Yeah, like I said, they've got a lot to play for, but for us it's always going to be the same. We're always going to try and give everything we have, try and get 3 points. So the gaffer's been saying ever since it was maybe like mathematically impossible for us to get playoff. He said it's not the end of our season. We're still, even though we haven't got anything to fight for, we're still going to be giving everything and trying to approach each game the same way and with the same mentality to win.
Yeah, and they'll ask serious questions of us. So we certainly have to make sure we start better on the front foot for that game. It's going to be a test. But we need to finish off the season with a win at home, because our home rate has not been great. We've thrived a little bit more away from home, but home rate hasn't been great. So we've got to make sure that again, we don't just limp over the line on Wednesday night. We put a performance in that gets 3 points for the club.
Yeah, and everyone's still got something to play for next season. Anyone that's going to be here will be trying to cement a place for next season. Anyone that isn't going to be here is obviously trying to impress on the scale to get themselves, give themselves a platform for next season as well. So everyone's got something to play for, and it should hopefully be a good game and we'll get the win.
Well, that was the thoughts of the manager and Andy Rinomota there. And again, apologies for the quality. I know that we're dropping a few frames on for everyone who's watching on YouTube and Facebook. Apologies about that. A few technical problems as usual. But let's talk about, some of those things that you mentioned earlier that Andy mentioned right at the end there. Players have got plenty of motivation. And so let's talk about those players, Dan, who are actually out of contract this summer. We're not exactly sure what the future's going to hold, but the two players in particular you've got to pick out. The two guys who've been here for 8 years, is it? Gareth McCleary and Chris Gunter. Looks like there's every chance they could be their last game tonight. Chris starts and Gareth's on the bench. Amazing servants for this football club.
Yeah, together they've clocked up nearly 500 games, I think, and I tweeted the other day, for two players that have been at this football club, and it's probably been some of the most, tumultuous, I can't pronounce that word now, most rocky 8 years that you could pick. We've had various ownerships, we've had so many different managers, we've had playoff finals, we've had missing out on the playoffs, we've had near relegations. And these guys have been there and done it. They were at a stage where they were training off on their own with the under-23s at the start of this season. Then suddenly they're back in the team and starting week in, week out in Chris Gunter's case. So, yes, some people will say these are highly paid footballers. I don't have much sympathy for them. Other people, will sit there and say, well, look, they're human beings. They've been through up and down, and they're still. I don't think I've ever looked at Chris Gunter and said he's given anything less than 100%. Has he had the odd bad game? Of course. When you play over 250 games, especially in a team that, let's be honest about this, we've been a bottom half team for most of the time that he's been here. You're going to have those bad games, and people will look to, people to pick out. It's just a natural thing. You'll look for a person to blame, and unfortunately, those are two guys, because they've been here so long, almost, it's gone against them because people have turned on them on various occasions. However, I do think the vast majority of Reading fans will look at the service they've given the football club and their performances overall. Gareth's given us some magic memories. The goal in the semi-final at Wembley is a moment that I'm sure every Reading fan that was there, of course I was not there, for those people who do know the story, if that was my wedding day, but regardless of that, that goal will live on for, those 40,000 Reading fans forever. That stunner against Burnley on the last day of the season as well, that goal against QPR. Gareth's been magic at times, and it's just been a shame for him in the past couple of seasons that the injuries have sort of stalled him, and team changes and people being brought in, and for Chris Gunter, he's just been Mr. Dependable, Mr. Reliable, and it's just come to a point where we've got Andy Idom, who's looking fantastic and seems to be the future. So it's not really fair for Chris to be sort of sat behind him in the pecking order if that is what he wants to do. If he wants to go out and play first team football, I'm sure Mark Bowen would love to have such a great backup in the squad going next season, but look, financial realities of football now, every penny is going to count and every place in the squad is going to count. So like I said, they've had their ups and downs, but two fantastic servants. I hope that there is an occasion where they both get to come back to the Medici Stadium with fans, because I'm sure they will both get a very generous round of applause, and deservedly so.
Absolutely. We're just over 2 minutes until we're going to be able to announce the player of the season as voted for by our supporters. That gives us just a little bit of time, Dan, to touch on those other players who are out of contract, who may or may not be retained next season. We're not sure yet what's going to happen with Jordan Abita, Charlie Adam, Tyler Blackett or Gabriel Osho. 5 loanees in the likes of Matt Miazga, Ovie Ejaria, Pele, Ayab Masika and Lucas Boye. So, it looks like there's a potential for quite a big turnaround over the summer for Reading, which is... it's become that business could be extremely important, couldn't it?
Yeah, and whatever happens, I think just as fans, we just want to see a plan. We don't want to see scattergun signings. We don't want to see players that you just sit there, well, how are they going to fit in? We've had a few over the years, and there's nothing against those individual players, but the likes of Alex Fernandez coming in on loan and then barely playing, signing people like Zat Knight, it's, over the years, the club has been guilty of bringing in players and not, and you just sit there thinking, well, is that the right move? Hopefully, we will go into this summer and it gives a great chance to sort of start fresh, to really go in with the 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, however many players that you really want at your football club. And look, hopefully, we've got I'd like to see a lot of those players back on a personal level. I mean, Ovi Ajaria has been giving us a great entertainment. He's got such a massive future. So hopefully, it's a widespread understanding that it's an obligation to buy. I don't know whether anything has changed because of the coronavirus pandemic, but it does look like he might be back next season. But for everybody else, it's just a case of maybe. And Matt Miazga's got a big audition tonight as well, because who knows what his future is going to be at Chelsea, and whether, if it's not at Reading, it's going to be somewhere else. He's going to want to play regular first-team football. He's not going to want to go back and just sit on a bench somewhere. So, yeah, I mean, everyone you've mentioned there has had the odd moment of excellence. I mean, maybe a couple of the loanies, not so much, but certainly the players we've had under full-time contract have all had their moments, and it's a last chance for some of them tonight to impress.
Absolutely. Well, it's exactly 7 o'clock, which gives us an opportunity to reveal the player of the season as voted for by the fans. We're going to play a little video. Hopefully it'll play nice and clearly, but if not, you can head over to Twitter, Facebook or Instagram TV and you can watch this video through. Here we go for the player of the season 2019-2020.
Away from one post. Here he comes now. Oh, he's made a brilliant save. The Reading keeper Raphael down to his right-hand side. Strong hand. Here comes Swansea now. Downfield on the counter-attack. Into the penalty box. Ayew. Good save, Raphael. Came out to the corner of his 6-yard box. Made himself big.
Good save by Raphael. And in the end, we've even got the goal kick.
And here comes Preston now down the right with Bowden. Here's a shot. Brilliant save from Raphael, who flung himself to his right. Got his left hand up above his head and tipped it over his bar. And he keeps it at 2-0 to Reading. Well, out to Cash. Cash on the right, rolls it back in field. Here's Lolly from distance. Good shot. Good save from Raphael. Well, it might have been heading either onto his post or his side netting, but Raphael's taking no chances. And that. Here they come then. With Batty out to the right-hand side. Good chance to Hull. Brilliant save from Raphael. Follow up. Good block from Moore. So the ball hit the post after Raphael's fine save. He flicked it onto the post from Marcus Madison's shot.
Thankfully, Raphael got a touch on it, hit the post.
Off down the right-hand side, on the run is Ludwig, takes on Swift, goes past him, delivers to the top of the penalty box, Reading on the back foot. Brilliant save from Raphael, not done with yet though. Another brilliant save from Raphael. Have a look at that slice of action, absolutely brilliant. 2 shots saved by Raphael. Runs towards the Reading defence. Good ball through, well played Chris Gunter across Mitrovic, but he's still got a chance. Follow-up shot, double save from Raphael. Shots coming in, he hits the post and comes back out. And what about that? A treble save from Raphael, the Brazilian, to keep it at 0-0. 8 minutes into the game. He saved twice from Mitrovic and then on the follow-up. Sensational with the Reading goalkeeper. And then the defenders, how have they kept it at 0-0, Mick?
Terrific goalkeeping by Raphael. Extraordinary.
Unbelievable from Raphael. They'll be desperate to get to the final whistle here. Here comes the ball in, really good looking ball in. Brilliant save from Raphael. And what about that for a save? Raphael on his line. Wow. Massive save from Raphael in the last minute of the game.
Unbelievable reflex. I'm not sure whether they just hit him or his feet. Either way, fantastic save.
What a save, man. This guy, what a save. See you, bro.
Well, it's the player of the season, Raphael, and alongside us in the box is Tom McIntyre. Tom, you wouldn't have dealt with that choppy, terrible lag, would you, on your Twitch streams?
No. No, it's all good though. I think you got a lot going on the computer, so I don't think it's able to handle it too well. No. Yeah,
your FIFA streams are a lot smoother than that. Raphael, player of the season. You've got to give him the credit for what was been an excellent year for him.
Yeah, he's had such a good season. His first season in the Championship and stuff. And I think before he did come, we could see that he was a top player. Obviously played at some big clubs and played for Brazil and stuff. So yeah, there maybe was a little bit of pressure on him coming in. But yeah, he's stood up to that, and he's been top drawer throughout the whole season. Yeah. Yeah,
and I think as well as that, when he first joined the club, what was his English like, and what compared to what it's like now?
Yeah, he it wasn't great when he first came in, and he'd say that himself. But yeah, I think that's credit to him. He's worked really hard on it, and yeah, he's brilliant with it now. Yeah, he probably speaks almost better English than me. Yeah.
Dan, you nominated Raphael, didn't you? As your he was your pick, wasn't he? When we towards the a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, probably not that surprised to see him lift the award.
No, well deserved. I picked him out last week as someone that's just been consistent throughout the whole season. Sometimes it's not always great when your goalkeeper wins Player of the Season because it means they've been really busy. But look, that's nothing against him. He's done what he's needed to do, and he's kept us in some games and had some absolutely massive moments. So credit to him. He follows in some great footsteps for the Lights Valley Al Habsi a couple of seasons. He won it 2 seasons in a row. So you talk about having a strong spine at a football club, and if you've got a goalkeeper that you can trust, that's a massive. I'm sure Tom would say it's a massive help for a defender knowing that you've got such a good pair of gloves behind you.
Agree with that, Tom? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's you've hit the nail on the head, really. Because yeah, as a defender, when you see that the goalkeeper's won Player of the Year, as you say, it's not always the best thing, but he's there to make saves and stuff, and he's done exactly that and more. So yeah, credit to him.
Tom, we've got to mention as well, I'm sure you'd want to be out there warming up with the rest of the players. Tell us a little bit about that ball in the face he took over at Blackburn. That was a really unfortunate way to kind of end his season, I suppose. Yeah,
it was really disappointing, and also the fact that we started the game, I think, as everyone knows, a bit slow and a bit sloppy. I think I've watched the goals back, and I'd say for the first goal I wasn't good enough. I should have pressed the ball and stuff, and there was a lot of space between me and the striker who did score. So yeah, to finish the season on that was a bit frustrating, because I think I'd done well when I came in, and maybe that 30 minutes was not the best 30 minutes, and yeah, it was a shame that it ended like it did. Yeah, but I think these things happen, and when you don't have the best game, or you maybe make a bit of a mistake for a goal, you just got to reassess it and learn and take what you can, because I know that next time if there's someone attacking like that or wins the ball back in our box, I'll be straight to him and shutting him down. Yeah,
I know you're always one to look over your own highlights and so on. Dan, I'm going to let you blow a bit of smoke up Tom's backside here. How nice is it to have a local boy like Tom who's made his kind of had his breakthrough year, if you like, this season, and kind of like in and around the team, because you've been a fan for a while. I'm not going to reveal your age, but you've seen players come through, and that's, as for a fan of any club, it's a big deal, right?
It's fantastic, and it's revealing my age. I've seen people going way back to when Adi Williams was captain of the football club, having come through the academy here, and you go through the generations, and we had that fantastic era of where the likes of Gylfi and Alex Pearce and people like that come through, and Tom, in the best possible way, reminds me of Alex Pearce. I've got an Alex Pearce signed shirt up behind me, and he sort of embodied what was great about someone, a defender coming through the ranks. They go into every tackle, and you can tell that they are desperate to win it, because they're desperate, to impress in the shirt. And as a Reading fan, it's so easy to get behind people like Tom, because look. I'm not going to name any names. Reading fans watching will say there are probably some people they think, they're just here to earn a paycheck. You can never point to academy graduates and say that, because all the blood, sweat and tears they've given just to get to this stage. I mean, it's tough going through an academy system. So few people make it. To have that tenacity and the strength to get there, says volumes about just a footballer in general. Yet alone in such a tough, specialised position as a defender as well. You've got to do a lot of ugly jobs, Tom, and like you showed on the weekend, where get one in the face. It's not easy, but to get yourself back up and give everything for the football club. I said, from a fan's point of view, it's fantastic. And yes, I will expect my royalties in the post for such a glowing tribute.
Yeah, thanks very much, man. I really appreciate those kind words. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to say that Tom, you're probably the most unlucky person I know in terms of injuries. Hopefully, they're all coming in right at the start of your career, because I think as a lot of people around the club know, your scholarship, you pretty much had to skip both years in some senses, didn't you?
Yeah, that was the case, and it wasn't maybe not so much this year, but the years before. There's been I've had a few injuries and stuff, and they have kept me out for a long time. So,
and it's not like you're injury prone. There just seem to be different things each time, right?
Yeah, because that's sometimes the thing. I've heard it before, injury prone and stuff, and it frustrates you a little bit, because you want to try and you don't want to sit there and be medical about it and explain, but a lot of my injuries have come from unlucky things like tackles or the head injury where it was just a head clash, and then other little stuff, and not all of them are ones that it's not like my body's breaking down. It's just sometimes a bit unlucky at times.
Yeah, but as you say, you'll be hopefully staking your claim as best you can. You after tonight, I mean, what we don't even know how long the break is at the moment, do we? Because I don't know when the start of next season is, but I know you'll be ticking over.
Yeah, definitely. I understand that. I'm still obviously trying to prove myself as a player and stuff at this level, so I know that when I do get time off, there might be some lads or whatever from other teams maybe, or our team who maybe just have a little rest or whatever, and as much as that's good and I need the rest, I need to make sure that I'm coming in coming in as good and as strong as I can to try and get a head start on people. I
think come back to you, Dan. I think your attitude like that is you've seen it through the years. I mean, what a big difference it makes, because whatever your career looks like and what your kind of natural ability is, you can kind of like go, either fulfill that or come shy of it with the wrong or right attitude, can't you?
Absolutely, and if EA Sports are watching, I don't want to see injury prone on Tom's card in foot next season.
I haven't even got an Ultimate Team card, to be fair.
Exactly.
I was disgusted.
Have you got your Pro card yet?
I haven't even got. I'm not even in the game on Ultimate Team, which I was fuming about. But hopefully next year, yeah.
Absolutely, EA. If you're watching, there you go. And yeah,
I don't even know what you guys are on about. What is this? This is FIFA,
it's fine. You're showing your age now, Rich. No, look. As I said, for academy graduate, it is tough. It can go either way. We've seen people with promised breakthrough in the past. Your Scott Davis of this world, who have an Aaron Calls that seem to really break through, and then they just have that little bit of. I don't know what it is. We talked about it last week, kind of with Andy Rinamoto, where it's that whole second season thing. It's once scouts and things have got an eye for what your game is, and I'm sure, Tommy, you've had it in the past. Once people sort of figure out how you play, you've got to then make that adjustment and sort of can you then rise that challenge? And I guess there are people you've come up playing football with that just haven't been able to sort of rise that next step. Yeah,
definitely. I've seen it in the past and stuff, as you say, when lads make their debut, you think. It was the same as me. I thought, wow, I'm flying. Like, I've made my debut for the first team and I've done well. But I always do think that after a player does make their debut, they go through a tough period where maybe they don't get another chance for a while, or they're out of the team for a while, or for whatever reason. And I think it's about staying strong through that period and doing all you can to stay at the top of your game, really. And then when you do get another chance, I think it's important to prove that you are good enough and can tackle it. Yeah. In
that sense, Tom, have you felt like a little bit like that? Because it was a little while ago. You got your debut, like how long ago now? 18 months or so?
Yeah, it was December 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so you had to be fairly patient. I mean, some players do that. They make their debut and they just get picked for the next game. But maybe as a centre half in particular, you do have to bide your time a bit.
Yeah, you do. You have to wait for your chances and stuff. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't frustrating at times, because sometimes you think, I wish I could get a chance, or if the team's not doing great. But as a young player, you just need to wait for that chance and just make sure you are ready. And I think I've mentioned it in the past, it's just about trying to get in the manager's eye by staying back after training and working on your weaknesses of your game and stuff, and just trying to show that you're trying to do all you can, because at this level it's so tough in the Championship, and that the little percentages that you can gain are massive. Yeah.
And I think one of the things Dan and I were talking about a little earlier was the fact that we could end up having some recruitment over the summer, as often is the case. We're not entirely sure which players will be sort of retained or not, or if there are any sales and so on. if you can, as a young player, prove that you're worthy of that position that otherwise the club might have to go out and spend on, that, you know, everyone's a winner there, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. You've hit the nail on the head there as well, because I want to prove. No, you don't need to get another player to come in my position, because I can play in that position. And of course, I understand how football works, and you need a good squad with strength and depth, and that's something that applies to every team, no matter whether you're an older senior player or one like me trying to make my way in the game. But yeah, you just got to, whenever you do get opportunities, show the manager that he can rely on you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, Danny, you must be looking forward to next season as well. I mean, it's quite an exciting time, isn't it, this summer, when you sort of have that little bit of a transfer activity, and sometimes not, you know, when you see, like you say, the likes of players like Tom and some of the youth team players involved in those pre-season friendlies and staking their claims as well. It is a fresh start, and that's what we're looking forward to now, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's nice to press the reset button. Ultimately, we've not achieved our aims. I mean, I suppose the minimum aim is to stay in the division. We've done that, but we're, after quite a few years now, okay, we had that fun run to the playoff final, but generally, sort of, I think it's been sort of, you know, 4 or 5 bottom half finishes in 6 seasons, and a relegation as well from the Premier League in the not too distant past. So it's great to hit that reset button. It's good to see those academy players come through, like Tom, like Michael Elise, and, you know, it's frustrating when you lose the likes of a Danny Loader, but, you know, that's football, and, you know, Reading have had it in the past and other teams have it, and it's just one of those things, and we move on. But it's good to see a little bit of a spine coming through the team now, and as I said, you know, you've got Raphael, you know, your player of the season in goal, you've got good young players like Tom coming through in your defence, and then it's just building on that. So look, I'm sure we'll go out of our way to get the best possible players. Who knows what the football economy is going to be like this summer? You know, who knows what's going to be a good transfer fee or a bad transfer fee? You know, who knows what clubs are going to be desperate to sell players, or who's going to have money to go out and buy players. So it's going to be the most unpredictable summer we've had in, certainly in my footballing life. You know, supporting Reading for 25 years, I can't think of a summer that's been so unpredictable. But that can be a good thing, because we can see, you know, hopefully a big upswing. You know, we're going to finish anywhere between 13th and 15th this season. You know, can we get those sort of 7-8 places, or, you know, in a dream scenario, even better?
Absolutely. Well, Dan, I mean, before we let Tom go, we're going to ask him as well. A little bit left field here, but, you know, it's not just going to be the first team playing here next season. We know that London Irish have moved on; they'll be off to Brentford, and that kind of opens up the door to the women's team coming here. And Tom is a local lad. I don't know if you know any of the women's team, any of the players that come through, but just as a Reading fan, it'll be great once the women's team are going to be based at Bearwood, based here at the stadium. It just makes a difference, right? Yeah,
massively, because I think they obviously represent the club as much as the first team for the men's team do. So yeah, I think that's something that's been long overdue, really, having them play here and being at the same training ground, so they have the access to the same facilities as we do, because yeah, there's no difference, and yeah, no, it's going to be great to see. Yeah, absolutely. Well, in a moment we're going to hear from Danielle Carter, Deanna Cooper and Emma Mitchell, the 3 players who signed, a couple from Arsenal, 1 from Chelsea in the week, so strengthening Kelly Chambers' squad. Tom, thank you very much for joining us. Cheers Dan. Good stuff. Thanks, Tom. And yeah, let's hear from those girls. Cheers.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Obviously, new teams, new beginnings for me after so long at Arsenal. But yeah, no, I'm rearing to go, and just can't wait to meet all the girls and get going.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great club, and I'm really looking forward to getting in with the girls and getting started.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I've been in talks with them for a few weeks now and stuff, so yeah, happy to get over the line.
Yeah, I think when I'm playing, it's a case of putting everything on the pitch, helping the team win. Obviously, my position is helping the team score goals, so definitely that's what I'm looking to do. I want to get back on the pitch, want to stay healthy, stay fit, contribute with goals, and help us win as many games as possible.
Okay, so I'm a defender. I can play anywhere across the back 4. Last season for Chelsea I was playing full back, but before that I've played centre half most of my career. So I love being on the ball. I'm a defender that likes to play football, but I love a tackle, and I like working hard in training and just making sure that we're getting the most out of all the players. So that's the type of player that I am.
I mean, I'm a defender, so I basically base my game on like not conceding any goals, but no, I think I'm like quite aggressive. Like I like to get stuck in about tackles, and yeah, enjoy that side of the game. And like playing against Reading for so many years, and I feel like that's like one of their qualities and strengths is that like they do like to put a foot in as such in a way to go out and hurt people, but yeah, they're very aggressive and very competitive.
Obviously.
Well, there's three new signings for Kelly Chambers' team. Oopsie days, excuse me, I'm dragging the everything all. Yeah, three new signings for Kelly Chambers' team, which will be fantastic, won't it? And I mean, I know Dan, if you're a fan of the football club, you've got to be a fan of the women's team as well.
Yeah, I mean, anyone's putting on those blue and white hoops at whatever level, you get behind them, and that fantastic run to the FA Cup semi-final, so close to getting to the final last season, and that it's a team that we can be absolutely proud of as Reading fans. They finished fifth in the Super League this season. Obviously, there's a real sort of power trio at the top, and then we're sort of amongst a group trying to fight and get our way sort of into that group. But look, to have a football club that is, in the top 5 of the country and in one of the strongest leagues in the world is fantastic. And Kelly Chambers and everyone there have been doing a great job. I know that the crowds at Adams Park have been slowly growing. As a father, myself with a young daughter, it would be great to be able to take her to games at Matchday Stadium and see the women's team in the future. Great to have them back home, and hopefully they can go on from strength to strength. Absolutely, yeah. As you mentioned, their back home is the real sort of key part, really. I mean, we don't like Man City. They've got the stadium next door, have they, where they can just downsize for. We have to all the way at Adams Park, good 25-30 miles away or something. So the fact that we're back in the town is a huge deal. And also, as Danielle Carter, she said she's really keen on the idea of actually breaking into that top 3, because there's actually going to be a third Champions League spot this year, which is that would be a fairly incredible feat, but stranger things have happened. Yeah, I mean, look, Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal were the giants of the women's game, and it's going to be really tough to topple them. But we've seen it in the men's game, we've seen it, in countless other sports. Anything can happen if you get the sort of right group together. And look, hopefully, we as fans, when we're allowed back into stadiums, we'll be able to give them that little bit of an extra lift. And as I said, they came so close to an FA Cup final only sort of a season ago, so anything can happen. There's World Cup places to be earned, and Euros and all sorts of things to incentivise players this season. So, look, as I said, great to have them back. They've been brilliantly successful so far, and that can't be underplayed. But fingers crossed they can go on to even bigger and better things. And that's all for next season here at Matchday Stadium. But tonight, of course, there's one more match that's kicking off in just under 10 minutes' time. And a reminder how you can watch it on iFollow. You can join for free if you're a season ticket holder. Make sure you've redeemed that promo code if you haven't done already for the final game. If you're not a season ticket holder, you can still watch, just £10 for a match pass. Go to readingfc.co.uk, go to the match centre, and you'll be directed to the subscription. And if you're having any trouble at all, make sure you go to email ifollow@efl.com. Couple of minutes down before the last game of the season. It's a funny day, isn't it? It's in a way it's quite nice to not be in Swansea's shoes. I mean that in the nicest way in the world, but to not have that pressure of tonight is let's just. No, I'm kind of regretting saying that already, but you take my point. Hopefully that you just want the team to go out and enjoy it and just have a good time today and just enjoy a football match, and hopefully 3 points better off for it. Yeah, it's just a real shame that the fans can't be there. I've really missed going to the Matchday Stadium, and back when I was had the time to go to away games. I would have loved to have gone to some of the away games as well. So it's bitterly disappointing that the fans, especially those we touched on earlier that might be playing their last game for the football club, don't get that round of applause and show of appreciation that they've deserved. Yes, it's not been the best of seasons, but it's also. It's been better than the last couple in terms of, we got ourselves out of a relegation fight quite early. And we sort of, even going into, as I said, up until Stoke scored in that last minute, we still had very faint hopes for a playoff race. So there have been good moments this season. The win over Cardiff at the start of the season, as I said, beating Luton comprehensively twice, and that great run over Christmas of, winning at Fulham, winning at Preston, beating Preston here with that last-minute goal in Mark Bowen's first game as well. So look, we've had some moments to smile about. Will it make a repeat viewing season highlight DVD that you'll be pulling off the shelf? Maybe not. But as we were saying when Tom was here and before, there are those shoots of recovery. There are the base, the base plates of potential future success at the football club, and it's now up to the people that are running the transfer department, the people that are constructing the squad, Mark Bowen, and obviously the players themselves, to make sure that we're going upwards, that we're not looking over our shoulders. I've had enough of this now. I've had enough of worrying about the bottom half of the table. We have been a bit spoiled as Reading fans over the years to have so many top half finishes, playoff races, promotions. We want to get back to that. We know that we're a club that is capable of doing that, and now it's up to the people that have those responsibilities to make sure they get the job done.
Absolutely. Just what would you pick out then, Dan, if you had to have a highlight of this season? I'll put you on the spot slightly here, but would it be a game? Would it be a moment? There's a couple of little standout points. In what has been there's been slim pickings, but there have been some moments, as there always are. What would you kind of pick out as your kind of favourite moments?
Yeah, I'm sort of running my eye up and down the sort of fixture list from sort of earlier in the season. I said that 3-0 win over Cardiff was great. We played some fantastic football. That Puskás goal, one of the goals of the season as well. As I mentioned, that the wins, the last-minute win over Preston in Mark Bowen's first game, gave you that sort of bounce of, okay, are we on our way back sort of thing. And obviously, winning away at Fulham as well was a fantastic achievement, especially when they came to Matchday and utterly thrashed us earlier in the season. It was great to go there and sort of upset the apple cart. And we've had little bits and pieces ever since. The win at Birmingham just before the break was great, and obviously going and sticking 5 past Luton, great as well. So a few little moments to pick out, but again, it's just a shame that we've never. It's almost a bigger shame because you've seen such magic moments, and we haven't been able to have more of them. But look, football clubs take years to build. You look at how long it's taken Jurgen Klopp to turn Liverpool into title winners and European champions. It didn't happen for him overnight. Steve Coppell himself here at Reading Football Club, fans who were watching back then will remember he had 3-0 home defeats in a row. It took him a while to get things going. Alan Pardew as well had a miserable start here. Mark McGee took a couple of seasons to get going. It doesn't always happen overnight, and we've just got to hope that, I said, the right players are wearing the shirt next season, and we get that sort of magical combination together and can really kick on.
Absolutely. Well, as you wrap up there, Dan, 5 minutes before we're due to kick off, as I'm sure you can hear the Amazons playing over the PA system, which means the teams are about to make their way to the field for kick-off. If you remember to go to iFollow on readingfc.co.uk or on the Reading FC official app. Yeah, I'm going to pick out Fulham as my highlight. That was a really good start to the new year, even though it didn't quite see you through for that playoff push. But Dan, thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight, and thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight on YouTube and on Facebook. And apologies for the technical problems, which something we will try and iron out for next season. And hopefully, Dan, you'd like to be involved next season and do a few more of these.
Yeah, hopefully they'll allow me back, and we can do a few more of these. And yeah, massive thank you to everyone who's watched, and to you guys at the football club who have, in such a difficult circumstance, helping put football on. It's been great as a fan to watch it, and to the players and everybody out there. I hope everyone stays safe. Everyone has a great summer. And hopefully we can all be back together again when it's safe to do so in the stadium. Yeah, that's the most important part, when it's safe. But we cannot wait to get our supporters back in the stadium. That will be the main thing. Well, Dan, thank you for now, and enjoy your sort of summer break from football. And until next time, come on, you Rs. Go on, you Rs.